It is easy to lose your sense of self-worth and confidence in the fashion industry. Jobs can be toxic, bosses can be backstabbing, and you can start to doubt yourself and your skills. That's exactly what happened to my guest today, Jenny Pflanz. So she quit her job without much of a plan, learned Clo, and decided to start freelancing. She joined Fast, my signature program on freelancing, and within a month had landed her first client. She has a few more in the pipeline as well. Jenny shares exactly how she got that client and how she's growing her freelance business. But most importantly, she shares how she got her confidence and self-esteem back up. If you're feeling down in your fashion career, or you just want some tips on landing your first freelance gig, you're going to love this episode of Fashion Designers Get Paid. Let's get to it. Tell me a little bit about yourself and your endeavors into freelancing and fashion.
Yeah, so I am a 3D technical designer and product developer.
Okay.
I work with smaller brands, not necessarily startups, but smaller brands that do women's wear in the outdoor and active industry.
Okay. So 3D technical and product developer, smaller women's outdoor and active.
Yes.
I love how niche that is. How did
I
you?
felt
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I felt like maybe I was including too much stuff, but I feel like this is a good starting point. Like including outdoor and active, but they're kind of similar.
Yeah. And since you're so specialized with like 3D technical and product development, and then you're also like just women's, and then you're also smaller brands. Like I think there's so many qualifiers in there that it like really speaks to a very specific brand and customer.
Yeah.
How did you figure that out? Like who you wanted to serve?
Well, my last job in-house was for an outdoor lifestyle women's wear company. And it was a really cool company. And I really liked the product. And when I left, like it just made sense that would be my next, because I really like being outdoors. I'm here in Colorado, and I really like to hike. And since I've left that job, like that's kind of what I've immersed myself in. So it just made sense to do outdoor and active apparel, because like fitness also is another big thing that I'm really into, working out and everything. I feel like you should work with the product that and like since I like to do those things, it makes sense to work with those kinds of companies. And also here in Colorado, we have a lot of those companies. Like there are a lot of small startups, small brands that are in that industry. So I think it's a good entryway point.
And then were you previously doing 3D? Is that also how you kind of settled on that specific service?
No, this is new. So this whole year has been kind of a whirlwind because I quit my job back in February of this year.
Okay.
And I didn't really know what I was going to do. I just knew I didn't want to be there anymore.
Okay.
So I quit, and I signed up to take a Clo course at FIT.
Okay.
And it was like a couple months long, and there were it was just the intro course, and I thought I would see how so I took it and I loved it, and I was like, you know what, I think this could be a good path for me, so maybe I'll take the advanced course. And maybe I hadn't really decided to freelance at quite that point, but like I thought that this could be a good career development, like a new asset that I could offer any company or whatever my next step was.
Yeah.
And so I took the advanced course and loved it. It was so much fun. And then it ended in the middle of August. And I think it was July when I started thinking, I think I want to freelance. And it kind of was sparked by seeing you're finding you online and your course. Because I think I signed up in July. And I also saw on LinkedIn, one of my connections posted about wanting a freelance technical designer who specializes in Clo, that was based in the Denver area. And I was like, whoa, what
I
are
can
the
do that.
chances that someone's asking for the thing that I'm thinking of doing? So I just felt like it was a sign.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I found you, I signed up for your course, and then I landed my first client. I started working in August. So
Okay. So
it
just for
happened so
context,
fast.
it's
Mhm.
October 24th right now that we're recording this, just because it'll air a little bit later.
Yeah.
So signed up for Fast in July and you got your first client in August. Is that the client that
Yes.
you saw post the thing on LinkedIn, or where did this client
No.
come from? Okay.
This client came from doing my customer research, actually.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the customer research part terrified me. Like, I was like, this can't be right. We have to reach out to people now so soon. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just to ease myself in, I'm gonna reach out to people I know.
Totally.
So I reached out to this woman who I actually interviewed. She was in my interview for a job at a company here in Denver a couple years ago, and we just kind of kept in contact.
Yeah.
Like small contact, just like congratulations on how long you've been at your job, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Okay.
And I reached out to her and asked if she would be willing to talk to me. And she's like, sure. And I told her I was doing freelancing. And she's like, perfect timing. I actually know someone who needs some help. And it is a brand that is in my niche. Like, I just can't even believe it. The luck that I
Yeah.
had. So she put me in contact with this woman, and lo and behold, it is the woman that interviewed me at that same company. Like, she moved to this new company, and like they used to work together, but like
Yeah.
I knew both of them. So
Oh my
it
gosh.
was just
Yeah.
wild. And yeah, I've started working for them at the beginning of August, and
Okay.
it's kind of an ongoing thing. I'm just
Amazing.
doing, yeah, I've been doing probably like 10-ish hours a week. So it's
Oh,
not a
great.
ton.
But that's a
There's
good
great,
base.
yeah, it's a good base, and it's, some money coming in. And yeah, it's not 3D work though. It's like product development, just kind of helping with the overflow, but they are open to 3Ds, which is great because at least I'm getting my foot in the door with this company,
Yeah.
establishing myself and trust, and
Yeah,
maybe
for
we can go
sure.
down that path.
For
So
sure. Okay, so you were really nervous to do customer research, but
yeah.
then how did it feel to like go out and pitch yourself? Because I hear this from everybody inside Fast, like, I'm sorry, I have to do what with the customer research. But
Yeah.
I'm like, if you are not comfortable doing the customer research, how are you going to be comfortable going out and like pitching yourself? To me,
Yeah.
that's like a whole nother level because there's something at stake, right?
Mhm.
You're being like, hey, can you hire me for some work? In so
Yeah.
many other words. But how did those two things ultimately line up emotionally for you?
Um, well, the pit or the customer research, like reaching out to people that I knew, kind of took some of the pressure off like the pitching is.
Mm.
So, but I'm finding that pitching is like, it's not really, for me, I guess, it's not really that intimidating until I'm pressing send or until I get a apply.
Yeah.
You know, it's it's when it becomes real that it starts to be intimidating. Nervous before those calls, and so I think it's just when it gets real, that's when I get nervous.
Okay.
That's kind of a common thread.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you sent you mentioned to me, let me make sure I get this right. The very first pitch I sent out, I got a reply within the hour. She said she's out of the country currently, but wants me to follow up next week when she's back so we can set up a call. So that must have been a nervous moment.
Yes. Well, we still haven't had the call yet. She
Okay.
got back. This was, I think, last week that she
Okay.
got back.
Okay.
And I did reach out, but I think it was too soon. And so she didn't get back to me. But I did email her just this morning
Okay.
and sent her my Calendly link.
Yeah.
So hopefully she can just set up a time that works for her, because she was there for a month. She's probably got a lot, to catch up I
Yeah.
don't want to like pressure her. So
Yeah.
sending her my Calendly, I thought was like the best way to approach it.
Totally.
Yeah.
And getting a reply to your first cold pitch, that had to feel like pretty awesome.
Yes. Yes. I was so surprised too. I just remember like taking a deep breath and hitting send. And then I think it was like maybe 20 minutes later, I got a reply and she's like, yes, send your portfolio. And I was like, oh my God, I wasn't expecting a reply, first of all, and I wasn't expecting it this fast. Thank
Yeah.
God I have my website up, it's all ready. Um, so yeah, I sent her my portfolio and like, again, she got back to me right away and was like, yeah, I'm out of the country for a month. I'm back on this day. But let's set up a call when I'm back. So
Awesome.
I feel pretty optimistic that that's going to
Yeah.
still happen.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
And then you mentioned another thing that you got another client by going back to someone and saying thank you.
Yes. So, well, it hasn't turned into a client quite yet,
Okay.
but um, the woman that recommended me to my first client,
Yeah.
I reached out to her to say thank you and to kind of let her know that it was going well. Like it worked out. I'm working with them,
Yeah.
um, and she was like, I was about to reach out to you because she's got a client who she's designing a swimwear brand for, or a swimwear
Okay.
line for.
Yeah.
And she thought it would be really good to have 3D mock-ups because it's a swimwear line for women who have had double mastectomies.
Oh, cool.
So showing the fit in the 3D mock-ups would be really beneficial because you just don't see that anywhere.
No, literally
Yeah,
nowhere.
yeah. And I was like, yes. And I haven't heard anything in a while. I want to follow up. I did follow up once, and she said that her client is like kind of ghosting her. So
Okay.
she's still like in touch with me, but like there's no news on that particular job. But I still feel like there's opportunity. And at least this particular connection is like she's still keeping me in mind. So
Yeah. But
yeah.
if nothing else, like the lesson learned of like the value of reaching out to someone and just saying thank you is like how you stay
Yeah,
top of mind for them to keep sending you referrals or for them to keep thinking of you when they might need something.
exactly. Yeah.
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 Okay, so you got this first project that has a nice 10-hour week base through a
Mhm.
connection, through a connection. How did you, and if you're comfortable sharing numbers, our listeners always love to hear numbers, but if not, that's totally cool too. How did you figure out like how to go into the pricing and like what that would look like working together with them?
I kind of used your drop the 3 zeros formula, like
Okay.
based off of the salary I was last making.
Okay.
So at my last job, and I know that I probably should have been making more, but as a good base, I was making I was making 64,000 at that last job. So I decided on 65 an hour.
Okay,
And
great.
And I also did with my first client, I did kind of say to them that, the stuff that they're having me doing, like if they want to do 3D work in the future, like that's going to be maybe a little bit higher of a rate because the stuff that
Yeah.
I'm doing for them right now is like measuring samples and helping with BOM updates and tech packs. And like it's just not as skilled as the
The
3D.
3D. Yeah.
So we have an opportunity to renegotiate my rate at that time.
That's
So
awesome that you planted that
yeah,
seed up front. They were receptive to that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. 3D is in demand. And I think it's going to be that way for a while. There is a learning curve. It sounds like you caught on pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think I did. I mean, in a way, it's similar to Illustrator because there's like all the tools,
Yeah.
except there's two sets of tools.
Yes.
And maybe just the fact that I know how to use Illustrator pretty well, like kind
Yeah.
of, it's just like learning what the tools are and what they do.
Yeah.
Um, and also, I didn't have a job when I was learning it. So like I could really dive in deep and like spend
Yeah.
time and play around with it outside of like what was required of the course.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that is a luxury that not everybody is afforded. So that is definitely a nice position to be in. Okay.
Mhm.
So you mentioned like you quit your job because you weren't sure what you wanted, but you said I didn't want to be there.
Yes.
um, did you know about freelancing in this type of capacity, or like did you know that this type of work was really an option, or where were you at on that before you? I know you said you discovered my
Um,
content in like maybe July or something.
yeah. I knew that there were freelancers out there because like at my last job, we did hire some freelancers.
Okay. Like real
More,
remote, not in-house
yes.
freelance. Okay.
Yes. They were like designing stuff. So it wasn't like necessarily technical design or product development freelancers, but
Yeah.
more so design. So I knew that like those kinds of jobs did exist, but I definitely was more familiar with the permalance freelance opportunities.
Yeah.
And I was terrified. I've never really thought about doing freelance before because I like stability and like, you know, having a steady paycheck that seemed more attractive to me. And I don't know, the confidence that you need to be a freelancer too. I know, I guess the confidence to like put yourself out there and like to really sell yourself and believe in yourself that you can do what you say you can do. Um, I was really not like when I left my last job, I was not in a good confidence place. Like I really was
Okay.
beaten down. So
Yeah.
I it took me a while to get there. Yeah.
Okay. How long had you been in the industry previous?
But I a little over 8 years
Okay, so
as
good
a
bit.
technical designer.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so due to maybe various circumstances, your confidence was a little bit down. How do you
Hmm.
think that, like, I just had this discussion with someone this morning. How do you think the scenario changes when it comes to your confidence between putting yourself out there as a freelancer and putting yourself out there for as a job, like for like applying for a job
Um,
full
yeah.
time, you know?
I think it's just you're more on when you're freelancing because you have to do everything. You have to network and or you should network and you should like be reaching out and um you just have to project that confidence, otherwise people don't really want to work with you. And when you're applying to an in-house job, it's the interviews that you really make your impression. And then whenever I got jobs and I would start, like I always came at it from a like a learning perspective. Like I need to learn like how this company does things. Like so I didn't have to necessarily project the same level of confidence that I guess I feel like this might not be true, but I feel like I have to project as a freelancer. But I will say that now that I have been doing freelance and like
Yeah.
learning the Clo software, my confidence has like gone so much higher. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I can do it. Like I know what I'm doing. Like I don't know why. I don't know. I think sometimes I let my self-worth be defined by how well I'm doing at my job. And if I'm
Um,
not happy or if it's not going well, then it has affected me. So that's kind of something that I've been working on since I quit back in February.
yeah.
Yeah.
So learning Clo and getting a client and doing the work, like you said, your confidence is much higher now. When do you feel like there was that
Yes.
tipping point? Was it just by learning Clo, or was it by learning Clo and then actually, well, you said you're not even doing Clo for your current client though. So like
Yeah.
when was that tipping point of like, okay, I got my confidence boost back?
So I think it was like in the middle of the Clo courses because
Ah,
I understand like I know like how to work a pattern, how to manipulate a pattern. And so it's like, oh yeah, maybe that's why it was like easier for me to learn too. Like I just inherently knew how some of the stuff worked. Yeah, I can do this. And I also got that, made me picked my projects out sometimes as the best in the course. And that was huge. That
Wait,
made me
what
feel
happened with
seen
the
and like
what happened with the
she
with
she picked my projects like
the
because
teacher?
the
Ah,
instructor would choose like the best
ah,
project in for the week, and so she would pick mine sometimes, and it was just huge, like a huge
totally.
confidence. Yeah. And
Yeah.
like when the courses ended, she had really nice things to say, and that helped tremendously. And then when I found your course, and like, I don't know, I think just like how easy it was to get my first client. And I don't want to like, I know it's hard to find clients, and like I haven't found a second one yet. So like I know that it's hard work, but like it gave me the confidence to keep going with it. Like
Hmm.
the fact that I could get something so quickly um inspires me to continue to do hard things, to do the hard
Yeah,
things, because they do pan out,
they do.
and with the client that I have now, like even though I'm not doing like super skilled stuff, I think it's actually been really good for my confidence too, because
Mm,
like the things that maybe I thought I couldn't do, like this simple stuff, I'm proving to myself and to this client that I can do it and I know what I'm doing, you know?
totally.
So
Okay, so you never really thought about freelancing. You quit your job in February. You took the CLO course. How, just out of curiosity, how did you find my content if maybe you weren't looking for freelancing stuff? And then, like, what was the moment where you're like, wait, maybe I should look at this freelancing stuff?
yeah, I think I was trying to get my portfolio updated, and I was
Okay.
like I was doing some technical sketches in Illustrator, and I was like, man, it's taking me a really long time to fill these with color. I wonder if there's a better way. Like, I wonder what the best way to do it is. And it is hard to find like good content. Like YouTube has like a lot of Illustrator tutorials, but like a lot of them are like 3 hours long and have way more information than you need. And I came across your website, and because you had like a freebie for like download some trims or something that you could
Oh,
use
yeah, the trim
in
library.
your Pflanz. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, I could use some free trims. And I downloaded it, and I got onto your email list. And I was like, then I think you started emailing about the fast course, or some, maybe it was a 3-day event. I can't remember, but
Okay.
the 3-day training. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, maybe I should do this, because I don't really know how to freelance, and this could help me like see the path, account for like things that I might not know how to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And I am lucky that my partner is actually a freelancer too, but he's in a different industry. He's in like film and editing and stuff. So like
Okay.
I feel like the industries are different enough that your content has been super helpful. And really your content, like the things that you've said to do, have led to all the success that I have had so far. So that's been great.
Yeah.
Definitely
Well,
worth it.
yeah, thank you. You've taken action on it though, and you've worked hard. Um, so like at what point were you like, okay, maybe this, I'm going to do freelancing? I'm still unsure where that was like a conscious decision, because you said you hadn't really thought about it before.
Yeah, I think it was that post on LinkedIn where someone was asking
Oh,
specifically for the
right.
thing that I was thinking of doing.
Okay.
And then I saw your course, and I was like, I just feel like
Okay,
this
right.
is meant to
Gotcha.
be. I think this is something I'm supposed to try. And like
Yeah.
also there weren't a ton of jobs to apply for. And I was like, I need some income.
Mm,
And so I think maybe at first it kind of started as, oh, well, I'll just do this to pass the time. But
mm,
now I feel like this might be what I want to do, because I
yeah.
just love the freedom to be able to work with the people I want to work with, when you get an in-house job, you're stuck with those people. And if you don't like them, then, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to find a family at a job where you like the job and you like all the people.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah. How's that? Like, how do you feel the balance is going now that you're freelancing with like maybe not being in house and not having that, as you call, like family or like social office aspect? Because I know for some people that can feel tough. And obviously we all got, pretty much everybody got accustomed to it in one way or another via COVID. But for some people that can feel like hard. How do you feel like you're adjusting to that?
It hasn't been an issue for me. Like
Oh, good.
I have a lot of close friends that I reach out to, and I have some type A friends too, and we have like scheduled times to see each other. And actually, I have a friend who lives in Hawaii, so we do Zoom chats like all the time. And so
Yeah.
like I guess I just kind of built in a way to see people that I care about. And my partner's here all the time too, so I'm never really alone. And then also with the community, like the fast community, like I've been reaching out and talking to a lot of them
Yeah.
Recently too, which has been wonderful. Like the fast community is just incredible.
Thank you. Yeah. I always say it's like no other. And it's hard to like really hype up what it actually is until people get inside and then they're like, oh, wow, this is a really good community.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad to hear that.
Be around so many people that are doing the same thing as you, or in a similar adjacent to you, that could help you. They could answer questions that you might have. Like, it's so valuable, it's like having coworkers.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your plans? What are you currently working on? Are you still pitching? Are you like, where are you at?
I'm still pitching. I'm hoping that the woman that was out of the country, I'm really hoping that turns into a call.
Yeah.
No guarantees it'll be a client, but I'm hopeful that it will be.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm going to keep on top of the other woman that to put me in touch with my first client, and hopefully that will turn into something. And then I'm just sending follow-ups. I have a bunch of follow-ups I need to do on pitches that I've previously sent out. And just send in all those emails.
Yeah.
And finding pieces of value. That's actually something that you talk about that I'm really struggling with. I don't know what is so hard about it, but I guess I'm struggling to find the right things. Maybe I'm just overthinking it, but
my guess is you're likely overthinking it.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be anything from, here's my unsolicited advice, but like it could even be a quick screenshot of a self-directed project that you recently did in Clo that visually would like really make sense to that brand, right? Be like, hey, I just wanted to like share this mock-up I was just playing around with. It reminds me of some of the pieces you do, or some of the pieces in your line. Always love sharing what's possible in Clo. Close your mouth.
Yeah.
Like,
that's great.
People, I think that like people love, especially some of the new stuff with Clo and the 3D rendering, like people love seeing those images and seeing what's possible with these really powerful softwares. So yeah, you don't need to overthink it. And it can be like a little bit of like a backdoor brag.
Yeah.
I'm stealing that from Jenna from 30 Rock. Watch the show. Yeah. So, that's always an option. And, another really easy one is like just a really genuine compliment, or just like a really genuine, like personal check-in. Like, hey, I saw you posted this thing on LinkedIn or on Instagram, and I just wanted to let you know like how cool I thought it was, or post directly on the post, comment directly on the post or something. Like just genuine engagement can be massive value, because let's be honest, most people don't do it. Takes work.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Well, those are all great ideas.
Yeah. So try out some of those and
Mm-hmm.
make your life simple.
Yeah.
Don't overthink those things.
Yeah.
I am super excited to hear your successes, Jenny, and how everything has gone so well for you. It does sound like a lot of stars aligned, but as I talk about in some of my trainings, I'm a big believer that success is 3 parts. One is risk, putting yourself out there and taking the risk. Strategy, like having the right knowledge and skills and strategy. And then third is luck. But I genuinely believe that when you lean into that risk and you lean into that strategy, you will put yourself in many more positions where you can get lucky.
Yeah.
And so, I don't ever like to discount when the stars align. And yes, of course, things fall in our lap, but also you've done a lot of things proactively to get these certain opportunities. So please applaud yourself for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. In case anyone needs to hire a 3D Clo technical designer, product developer for small women's active and outdoor brands. Did I get it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe not as succinctly as you said it, but those are all the qualifiers. Jenny, just maybe your person. Where can people connect with you online?
I'm on LinkedIn.
Okay.
It's
Are
Jennifer.
we connected?
I think we are actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I just got really active on there.
I've been enjoying all of your posts, by the way.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you.
Jennifer Pflanz is my name on there.
Okay. We'll link to that.
Pflanz, silent P. And then my work email is jenny.m.pflanz@gmail.com.
Okay. Awesome. We'll put both of those in the show notes.
You can email me there.
Awesome. And I'd love to end with a question I ask everybody at the end of the interview. And that is, what is one thing people never ask you about being a freelancer in fashion that you wish they would?
I wish they would ask me about anything about sustainability. Actually,
okay.
That is part of why I wanted to do Clo, is to help and I know it's becoming like a bigger thing now. Like a lot of companies are taking that seriously, but I feel like people that, at least in my circle, they're not asking me about what are brands doing, or what can you do, or what should I look for in a brand when I'm getting clothes. I think like knowledge about how you can be more sustainable and like things to look for. And I just think I wish people asked me a little more about that.
Yeah. Okay. What do you like? What are some of the tips that you would give people?
Looking at if companies are certified, like if they have fair trade certified, just like kind of what certifications do they have? And on their website, what are they talking about? Like, how are they trying to be sustainable? Are they recycling coffee grounds, or are they recycling plastic from the ocean? Or I feel like if they're putting a genuine effort into being sustainable, they're going to brag about it on their website. If it's just a passing statement, like, oh yeah, we are trying to be sustainable with everything, and that's all they say, like, I question how serious they are about it, I guess. Like it might be true, but I feel like the companies and the brands that are really putting their best foot forward with that is when they're really bragging about it and telling you exactly what and how they're doing it.
Yeah. So specific details rather than broad sweeping statements.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. And then that goes in hand with the clothes services that you're offering, because that can really reduce the amount of prototypes, which is sustainable in so many ways.
Yes. Yes. And I feel like that's how I can do my part. I want to help brands be more sustainable. And I want to be a part of the solution. Because like when I found, like in college, we didn't learn about how the apparel industry is like one of the top polluters. And like, it was disheartening when
Yeah,
I,
when you learn
figured
that.
that out.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know that if I'd known that in college, it would have swayed me against what I do now, but I think it might have made me a little more in the know about it. Like I might have been a little more selective of like what I applied to.
Mm-hmm.
Or just, I don't know, just being more conscious of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
So
thank you for
now
sharing that.
I feel like with Chloe, I can make a difference.
You
So,
could do your part. Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for chatting, Jenny. It was lovely to have you.
Yeah. Yeah. You too. Thanks for having me.
If you liked this video, you're going to love this one. Hit play now, and thanks for watching.